Yay! All right, got that fixed. Not sure what was going on with that, but it's fixed now. Can everybody hear me? Make sure the mic is fixed. Yes, no, maybe. Yay! Well, that's not supposed to come out of those speakers. Right, got that fixed. Not sure what was going on with that, but can everybody hear me? Make sure the mic is fixed. Okay, so it's not coming out. Not tonight. Not tonight. No tech issues tonight. Yes, no, maybe. Yay! Hold on. Wouldn't be me if it wasn't tech issues. Set. Ha. Okay, I think I managed to get the speakers muted. We're going to see. I'm not real sure what's going on tonight, but of course it would happen tonight. Got Bubby to sleep and just knew I was ready to go. All right, test 1, 2. Do I hear an echo? No echo. Good. So tonight I'm going to be sharing with you the story of Ceaira Ford. And this one is close to home because Ceaira was a personal friend of mine. So I'm going to let the video play. No echo? Good. Okay, or I'm not going to let the video play. We'll just read it. A 28-year-old woman was suffocated to death by her husband with a pillow 2 days ago, according to police. It happened in the couple's bedroom inside their apartment at 2514 Perryton Drive in Dallas. Police officers were met on the scene at 3:47 Wednesday morning by Dallas Fire Rescue paramedics who pronounced the woman, Sedia Nequay Ford, deceased. While inside the apartment, Ford's husband, Jonathan Edelen, 34, told an officer, "Put the cuffs on me and take me to jail. I've killed my wife." Officers arrested Edelen and transported him to Dallas Police Department headquarters. He was interviewed by homicide detectives, giving a voluntary statement admitting that he suffocated Ford on Monday, June 22nd, 2015. Edelen said it all started when his wife called to ask him to come home from work. They went to the grocery store and then bought some marijuana, according to the police report. When the couple came home, they started arguing. Edelen complained that his wife wouldn't stop talking. He picked up their television and took it onto the patio to destroy it so she would quiet down. When that did, I never understood how destroying the TV was supposed to quiet her down. It just doesn't make sense. When that didn't work, Edlin said he put his hand over her mouth and she flipped over the patio railing onto a grassy area below. The couple eventually ended up back inside their apartment in their bedroom. They continued to argue and fight according to the police report. Their disagreement escalated to a point where Edelen said he got on top of his wife while she was on the mattress, grabbing a pillow and forcing it over her head. He said he had held the pillow down over Ford's head until she stopped moving and breathing. He then waited 2 days to call the police. Edelen was charged with murder and placed in the Lew Sterrett jail. His bond was set at $1 million. The investigation into the murder is ongoing. I want to say a couple of things about this, but I really want this video to play. This video is very telling. Let me see if I got a video on the other page. 2 days. And the worst part about it is their children, 4-year-old Jonathan Jr. and their 2-year-old daughter were in the room. They saw it happen. They were stuck in the room for those 2 days. And when I had spoken to Ceaira's mom about it, she told me that Jonathan Jr. told her he had to keep wiping the red snot from his mom's nose because she had already started to decompose and purge fluids were coming out. Okay, I think I got it on this page.
Her with a pillow. We now know that Dallas police came to the house the day of the murder for a disturbance call.
But Ceaira Ford's body was not found, and tonight we are learning more about the Dallas husband who killed his wife by suffocating her with a pillow. We now know that Dallas police came to the house the day of the murder for a disturbance call, but Ceaira Ford's body was not found until a day later.
They argued 24/7. That was like normal.
Friends and family of Jonathan Edelen and Ceaira Ford knew the relationship was rocky, but they never thought it would end in a murder.
8 years of this, I think he did snap. I really believe that.
Rodney Blackman is a longtime friend with Edelen, who is now charged with suffocating and killing his wife with a pillow Monday night. Blackman calls Edelen a brother and says he was always a good man.
And he always high-spirited. I mean, I don't know, the last couple of days, like Saturday, everybody could tell it was something wrong, something wasn't right. It was like something was just getting to him.
Blackman was there the night Ford was killed and was there when police came to check out a disturbance call.
They was like, we heard a disturbance in this area. Have you heard anything? I was like, no, sir. I mean, I was watching the movie, but I dozed off. And y'all just woke me up. And I mean, they was like, well, we apologize, sir. Go ahead and enjoy your movie.
A day later, Ford was found dead in the bedroom, and police say Edelen confessed to them at the scene what he had done.
And these officers came out, and from what they observed at the time, obviously it appeared to them that a disturbance was not happening there, and they took the actions they did. And we'll dig a little deeper when we do an internal affairs investigation to make sure that their actions were appropriate.
And I talked to the victim's family in this case tonight. They are also questioning why police did not go inside the apartment during that first disturbance call. As for the couple's 2 children, both their ages 6 and 4 years old, they are staying with the victim's mother tonight. Reporting live from Dallas headquarters, Johnny Archer, NBC5.
Thank you, Johnny. We have new information tonight about a bus accident that killed.
Okay, so there's a whole lot to digest in this story, especially for me. you guys are not only going to get a piece of, you're not only going to get Ceaira's story tonight, you're going to get another piece of my story. So, he only got sentenced to 11 years in prison. He's still in prison right now. His max release date is June 21st, 2026. So in about 3 years, just under 3 years, just over 3 years, he'll be eligible. Well, not eligible for parole, but it'll be his max release date. They'll have to let him out. So the person that was talking in the interview, let me tell you about Jay and Ceaira first. Ceaira True, as bad as it sounds, loudmouth, which is what he called her at his trial. He got on the stand and testified on his own behalf, and he said that she was a loudmouth. Well, the truth is, Ceaira was loud. You could not be somewhere with Ceaira and not know that she was there. She talks a lot. She is she's a very bold person. And it's funny because that one thing about her right there is how I should have known something was wrong. So he killed her on a Monday night, right? I had a complete timeline of it pulled up with my own personal notes, but I must have closed the window. I lost it when I restarted the computer. So the neighbor upstairs is like 90-something years old, and she is legally deaf. But she heard this commotion, and she called the police to report it. Well, like I said, she's deaf. So when they came to knock on the door of the person who called, she didn't even answer the door because she probably didn't hear them. So when they didn't get an answer at her door, they went downstairs to this apartment where Ceaira and Jay and Rodney were. Knocked on the door. Rodney answers the door and says, "Oh, no, nothing going on." Basically gets the police to leave without checking any further. According to the timeline and her calculated time of death, at the time that the officers were standing in the door talking to Rodney, Ceaira most likely was still alive and in the process of being suffocated to death. If they had just simply checked the apartment, then they probably would have either been able to save her or to discover the crime a lot sooner. This person that gave the interview, and it was a much longer interview than that. I had the whole thing. I was sitting right there when the news station was interviewing him. It was a much longer and much more in-depth interview than this. And God, I really wish I could play it for you. He talked about so many different things about their relationship. And so you can catch him in some lies that he was telling about that night too. Well, anyway, so they leave. Now, I had talked to Ceaira that Sunday. See, it wasn't actually their apartment. It was Jonathan's mother's apartment, and it was like one of those apartment complexes that are for like elderly and home and handicap. And so, really, nobody else is supposed to be living there or staying there. But they were staying there with her because they lost their place. They always lose their place because of drugs and all that kind of stuff. Well, lost my train of thought. Oh God, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. This is still kind of a touchy subject for me. Oh yeah. Well, I saw Ceaira that Sunday, and I had planned on that Monday I was going over to the area housing authority to check on like the HUD waiting list and different things like that, get some information about housing. and I told her I would bring her a copy of the information that they give me because, you know, she needed a place too. Like I said, it wasn't their apartment, it was Jonathan's mother's apartment. Well, I did come over there. I went that Monday and did what I did or whatever over at area housing. That Tuesday, I came to talk to her, give her like paperwork and stuff. And when I came in the house, Rodney answered the door because he was staying there. He was sleeping in the living room. And he answered the door. And I was like, "Where's Ceaira?" And he said, "She's asleep." So I was just like, okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Rodney for a while. And Jonathan, we always called him Jay. Jay came out of the bedroom and went into the kitchen. Jay always speaks, like, but this time he didn't speak. He just kind of walked to the kitchen like he was in a daze, and he went to the sink to do something. And I asked him something. I think I asked him if he had a cigarette. And he was just like, "Nah, just that, nothing else." And Rodney just said something like, he ain't feeling too good or something like that. And so Jonathan went back in the bedroom. Well, I was just like, well, I'll just come back later. And I was coming back because I needed to do some laundry and I was going to use their washer and dryer. Well, that night when I was supposed to come back, I was supposed to go back about 9 or 10. And I text Rodney, like, "Y'all back yet?" So I could come. He was like, "Nah, don't come over here because so-and-so coming over here." He had a female cousin that me and her didn't really get along at all. One of those people who thinks they're better than everybody else, but really they're on the same level as everyone else. But so I didn't come. And then that next morning, that Wednesday morning, early, Rodney texted me and he was like, I remember the text exactly. I tried to find it, the whole conversation for you guys, because I have text messages going back to 2010, but I couldn't find these particular text messages. But he said Jay killed Ceaira. He couldn't spell her name. He didn't spell her name right. He spelled it Ceatu. And I read the text message and I was like, I understood he was talking about Ceaira. I'm like, what? So I texted back something along the lines of, "What do you mean he killed her?" And he texts back, he's like, "He killed her he killed her. She's dead." It was so unbelievable. And so, okay, he came over to my house. Rodney came over to my house. He was driving a little, I think it was a blue car, a little dark colored car, sedan. And the first thing he did, he was like, "You want this purse?" And it was like a black and white kind of designer fashion purse, you know, like you get at like a beauty supply store or whatever. He was like, "You want this purse? You like this purse?" I was like, "Sure, I'll take it." And he was like, "Let's go get a room." So we went and got a room for like 2 days. And at the time, nothing is striking me as odd, even though I know he shouldn't have had any money because he had not worked in weeks. But so we got a room for 2 days. We're driving around in this car. And I'm like, "Whose car is this?" And he's like, "Oh, this Jay car." He said it was Jonathan's car. Really and honestly, it was Ceaira's car. Her family was looking for the car and had reported the car to the police. He wasn't even supposed to have it. The purse that he gave me was Ceaira's purse. After she died, he actually went in the room, took her purse, took her money that she had in the purse and whatever else he took out of that purse. Then took her car. I've never understood how he didn't get any charges at all because he obviously lied to the police at the door. They had no way of knowing that he lied to them when they first came, but after finding that she was dead a few days later, then obviously he had to lie to them when he came to the door and said nothing was going on. And I never understood how he never got charged with anything. personally, I think he acts like he didn't know it until he says that Jonathan came out of the room like 2:30 or something in the morning or 3 in the morning and was telling him like, you need to leave, you need to go, you don't want to be caught up in what's about to go down. And he said this is the conversation that Rodney relayed to me. And he told Jay, nah, you my brother, whatever you got going on, I'm here for you, whatever. And then Jay gave him another opportunity to leave if you want to leave. He didn't, according to Rodney, Jay never told him that Ceaira was dead up to this point. Rodney claims he didn't find out that Ceaira was dead until the police and paramedics were there and she was discovered to be dead. So the police and paramedics get there, and at first they thought that Ceaira had possibly suffered an overdose because they saw one of her pill bottles empty near her. Ceaira took different psych medications, and as they were trying to perform CPR on her, they realized that she was actually in full rigor mortis at the time. And so they pronounced her. I don't know what was said on the 911 call to report it. I wish because I didn't get a chance to go to the trial. I left Dallas a few days after she got killed, and I'm going to tell you why. But I would really like to hear that 911 call to see what was said originally when first responders came out. Now, this guy, right? This guy right here. This is my ex. This one. When I tell you guys that I had an abusive relationship that was worse than any other I could think of, it was this one. So I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of my story. This is about Ceaira, but it was this one. So help me, I used to tell people I thought he was a demon assigned to me to destroy my life. I couldn't get rid of him for nothing in the world. And because of what I was told about the way everything went down with Ceaira being murdered and the way he answered the door, blah, 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 in my mind, I'm putting 2 and 2 together and I'm coming up with 4. And I in my heart of hearts, I believe there was more involvement there than what's being said. And so that's the one that I said choked me until I passed out. And so because of the violence that I had suffered at his hands before, I wasn't trying to stick around and be victim number 2. Now, here's the thing, right? Remember I said Ceaira was loud. You would always know when Ceaira was around. And it's true. Well, it should have struck me that she was quiet and I didn't see the kids. I didn't hear the kids. I was at the house probably 20 minutes. Ceaira don't sleep that long. So during the time, I might have been there 30, 45 minutes. But as long as I was there, I should have heard Ceaira or one of the kids. And it just didn't even dawn on me that it's too quiet. And what's really, really crazy is that she was literally inches away from me. There's a wall between the living room and the bedroom that they slept in, and her mattress was up against that wall. She was literally right on the other side of the wall from me dead, and I didn't even know it. It really disturbed me when I found out that he did this in front of their children and that those kids had to stay in that room with their mother's body for 2 days with the 6-year-old wiping bloody fluid from his mother's nose. And yeah, loud doesn't mean abusive. especially not when you know that that person suffers with mental health issues. And even if she talks forever, that's not an excuse to have taken her life. Well, he went to trial. He was convicted of murder. He was originally booked on murder charges, but he was convicted on manslaughter. Trying to see if this story has the details that I'm looking for about the timeline. It doesn't. Let's see this one. Nope. There are very surprisingly few articles out there actually anymore. Like articles that were there are now taken down about this incident because it was actually covered pretty decent at the time. Yep, manslaughter and 11 years. And I think he already came up for parole once, and I guess they denied it. So I'm going to read his arrest affidavit because you'll get a really good idea of the timeline with this. Okay, before me is the undersigned, blah, blah, blah. And here we go with the meats and potatoes. On June 22nd, 2015, at approximately 11 p.m., suspect Jonathan Ryan Edelen committed the offense of murder when he suffocated and killed the complainant, Ceaira Nequay Ford, while they were in their bedroom. The complainant died as a result of her injuries. This offense occurred at 2514 Perryton Drive, number 7108, Dallas, Texas. The facts of the offense are as follows. Dallas police officers responded to a call regarding a deceased person. When officers arrived, they spoke with Rescue Unit number 33, who performed CPR on the complainant. Rescue Unit number 33 had observed that rigor mortis had already set in. Dallas police officers arrived and believed that they were responding to an unexplained type death. While inside the residence, Rescue Unit number 33 handed Dallas police officers a bottle of medication prescribed to the complainant. While inside the apartment, suspect Jonathan Edelen approached Officer Jay Gordon and made a res geste statement, "Put the cuffs on me and take me to jail. I killed my wife." Officer Jay Gordon placed suspect Edelen in hand restraints and placed him in a marked Dallas police vehicle. Suspect Edelen was transported to the Dallas police headquarters and spoke with Detective Parker. After reading suspect Edelen his Miranda warning, he gave a video recorded voluntary statement. Oh, it was video recorded. I would love to see that too. Voluntary statement to committing this offense. Suspect Edelen informed Detective Parker he and complainant Ford were involved in an argument on 6/22/15. The suspect said the complainant called him at work on 6/22/15 requesting him to come home. The suspect said after he left work, they went to the grocery store. The suspect said complainant then wanted to purchase marijuana. The suspect said once they were at home, the complainant would not stop talking. The suspect said he took a television and took it to the patio to destroy it. The suspect stated this is the only way she would be quiet. The complainant followed the suspect to the patio. The suspect said once on the patio, he was attempting to keep the complainant quiet by placing his hand over her mouth. The complainant went over the patio rail onto a grassy area. The suspect stated that he went after the complainant, and that's redacted. The suspect said they went back into their bedroom and continued to argue and fight. The suspect said he grabbed a blanket and threw it over the complainant while she was on the mattress. The suspect said he got on top of the complainant, grabbed a pillow, and placed it over her head. The suspect said he continued to hold the pillow down over the complainant's head until she stopped moving. The suspect said when he removed the pillow and blanket, the complainant was non-responsive. The suspect whatever that was. The suspect said he called police on 6/24/15 at approximately 3:47 a.m. and reported his wife had stopped breathing. And that's it. Burden of proof. I know, right? God knows if talking too much was worthy of death, I should have been dead a couple of times. But yeah, I'm probably not gonna. I'm not gonna do the next live tonight. This was a little more overwhelming than I thought it would be for me. Since it's been quite a while, it's been like 7 years. Um, the main reason that I wanted to do Ceaira's case is not so much because she was a personal friend of mine, but because of the way that this incident went down with her children present and being stuck in the room with her dead body for 2 days. Because usually, I want to say that domestic violence abusers are stereotypes and victims are stereotypes in a lot of our minds. You know, whenever we think of domestic violence, you're probably going to automatically think the man is the abuser and the woman is the victim. You're probably going to have some mental image of something other than, I don't know, a Fortune 500 CEO. But the truth is, it can happen to anyone, male or female. It can happen to old, young. It can happen to married, single, divorced, rich, poor, somewhere in the middle, black, white, Asian, Hindu. It doesn't matter. Christian, Buddhist. It happens all the time. And it happens to all of us, not just one specific demographic. And the worst effect is on the children. The worst effect is on the children because these children grow up living in fear and seeing violence and seeing their parent disrespected, degraded, talked down to, beat up on, and it affects these children as they begin to mature and have their own relationships. Even in high school, you even find domestic violence in high school. And I'm going to bring you a story about that later in the month. I'm trying to find some information about it. Another personal friend of mine, fresh out of high school, dead as a victim of domestic violence. But yeah, the children. The one thing about this case that always got me is that he did it in front of their kids and kept them in the room with her body. That is the main part of this that just really, it blows my mind to this day. Like, if it had just been Jay killed Ceaira, I could have wrapped my mind around that because of the dysfunction of their relationship that I saw firsthand. But when you combine that to what the children had to see and endure, I don't know, man. It's not something I ever would have imagined. Because I will say both of them love their children so much. So much. That I never would have imagined him doing something like this in front of them. I'm sure the children have seen them fight or whatever, but their fights, they never really... They've had knockdown, drag out fights, but they never had them like often. It wasn't the norm. The norm was yelling and arguing and cursing each other out, and that was the norm. Physical violence was a rarity in their relationship. Not a rarity, but it wasn't like every day or every week or Another thing about this, he was already out of jail on another domestic violence complaint. He had been arrested on domestic violence against her a couple of months before this happened. So there's that escalation. Because as having experienced it myself, I'll say that probably for most of us, there was an escalation from one level of violence to the next, to the next, to the next. I thank God I got out before it got to the ultimate level. But here's a prime example of escalation. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. If someone demonstrates to you that they're an abuser, believe it. If someone tells you, I'm going to kill you, believe it. Yeah, but Ceaira was good people. Ceaira was good people. She had a good heart. She just had mental issues. And mental issues should not have been a cause or excuse for her death or for the trauma, emotional, psychological trauma that her children were forced to go through. So guys, I'm going to get out of here. Sorry about the tech issues at the beginning. I'm not really sure what was going on with that. I'll trim that out after the video finishes processing. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'm going to reschedule Deanna Cook for tomorrow night because her story is a very heart-wrenching story as well. And her story actually caused some major changes in the way Dallas, Texas handles police 911 calls when they get calls for service. So we'll do that one tomorrow. In the meantime, I will keep posting some domestic violence facts for you guys all this month. I will see y'all tomorrow. Love you all. Bye.